Okay, so in front of us is an Alienware M15 R2, I think. It might be the R3 instead, actually. Anyways, this laptop unfortunately has a couple of problems that is rather familiar if you fix a lot of graphics cards, but might be a bit of an unknown for those of you who are laptop specialists. So, this is unfortunately a half-working laptop, in that if we try to power on and we try to use it, we have artifacting and lines across the screen, as you can see. So anyways, this is not necessarily a graphics card problem. In this case, it is a graphics card problem, by the way. But I should note that if you have artifacting on your screen, it's possible you have a broken cable or damaged LCD display. Okay, now that we're in Windows, so I should note that when the driver's installed, you should see two more symptoms. That's at least rather common on desktop graphics cards. I do believe it should be exactly the same, given that there's not really any difference between a desktop and a laptop graphics card. Anyway, so I should note here that the thing that's kind of odd about this laptop is the fact that it's actually artifacting. So on a desktop, this would be rather normal for this particular type of problem, but on a laptop, this is actually kind of odd, in that typically speaking, laptops have their internal LCD wired directly to the iGPU and not the dedicated graphics chip. But in this case, it is wired to dedicated graphics chip, which is why we have artifacting on the screen. So the thing to note here is that we have code 43 in Device Manager for our 2070 Super. And the other thing to note is that it has not reverted to a low resolution, I think. However, the resolution isn't changeable, so okay, that's fine. So we have artifacting and code 43, which is good enough for the symptoms at least. So anyways, let's go ahead and run a program called MATS designed to test for memory problems on select NVIDIA GPUs, and we can determine which memory bank has died if it is actually a memory bank. So actually I have one more thing I want to mention first before we go ahead and test this. So I often get pictures sent to me by people who have broken laptops where they believe that their laptop graphics card has actually died. And they believe this because they see artifacting on the screen. Now typically when I see the artifacting, I can kind of tell that it's not the graphics card itself due to the manner in which it artifacts. So for this video, before we go on to the actual testing itself, we want to confirm that it is actually the graphic chip itself. So I have the Alienware hooked up to a USB-C external monitor over here. This was sent to me for free by Lapo, with the verbal agreement being that I would feature it in a video. I'm not required to say anything nice, by the way. Anyways, if we power on the laptop and we use the external monitor, if I hit Windows P to cycle through the screens themselves, you'll notice that unfortunately, due to the GPU related problem, this laptop cannot display anything on an external monitor. However, if you do have an artifacting laptop, you'll want to check with an external monitor just in case you have a flex cable issue or a broken LCD screen. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and run MATS off of a USB flash drive. Let's go ahead and plug it in and diagnose the card. Okay, so in a moment, MATS will start running. Okay, so now it's running, as you can see. So we still have all that artifacting, and we have a screen that's being filled with white dots. So this is a 20 megabyte test. I'll let the test finish on its own, but at the end we should have, let's say, a fail result and a report to read off of. Okay, looking at the report itself, the first thing to notice is we have errors on bank B1, and then we have errors on, well, failing bits between 32 and 63. If you don't know, this is the entire memory bank of B1. And looking at the errors themselves, notice how they look kind of random. So this is sometimes an indication that we have a short, and in this case I do think we have a short. I haven't actually opened the laptop yet as of recording, but like I said, looking at the laptop itself, between those errors and the report, a short is a strong suspicion here. Anyways, so the thing to note here is that we have errors on bank B1. So let's go ahead and take the laptop apart and identify which bank is B1, and then of course swap it. Okay, so now that we have the laptop disassembled, the first thing we want to do is check for a short on the memory face. So just in case it is a shorted memory module, and in this case we have 78 ohms, so it's actually not short at all. So this is relatively normal resistance for micron memory. So if you don't know, the ordering for these memory modules is as follows: A1, A0, B1, B0, C1, C0, D1, D0. And since our faulty memory bank is B1, or at least the suspected faulty memory bank is B1, it means that this bank in particular is our suspect. Anyways, let's go ahead and replace this and see if the laptop becomes any more functional. Okay, so as you saw, I replaced the memory module at B1 over here. So the first thing you want to do after you replace the memory module is to check for short on the memory face, just in case some of the solder balls under the memory module have stuck together. And checking our memory face, we have 44 ohms. So you may notice it's a bit lower than the 78 we had before. That's because the GPU is still quite warm. So the resistance of the memory phase, the PEX rail and 1.8 volt rail, it lowers as the GPU gets hotter. So the thing to note here is that it keeps rising. So I can tell you right now, by the time this thing is room temperature, the resistance will be around 78 ohms. So that's perfectly good. So let's go ahead and put this back into the laptop and see if we still have artifacting. Okay, so as you saw, I replaced the memory module at B1. If we now go ahead and power on the laptop, you'll notice that we no longer have any lines or artifacting on the BIOS splash screen, which is definitely a good sign. And better than this, if we go to Device Manager, you'll notice that we no longer have code 43 and that the device apparently works properly. And also to add to this, if we now check our external monitor with the LaPo Z1 gamut, it now actually detects and displays an image because, well, the graphics card inside the laptop now works properly. Anyways, now let's actually go ahead and test this. Okay, so as you can see, the laptop works. It's artifact free and it can run a game without issue. So just like a desktop graphics card, once we identified that the artifacting was memory related, GPU memory related by the way, all we had to do was run mats and it told us which memory bank was faulty and then we just had to swap it. You know, I was a bit surprised that it wasn't actually short. I was really sure it was going to be short before I opened it up until of course we had a regular normal 78 ohms. But otherwise, like I said, the laptop works. It's a relatively routine repair. There's not much new here. The final thing I want to go over is as I mentioned earlier in the video, I got a monitor for free, portable monitor by LaPo, and I agreed to briefly mention it in a video. I feel a bit bad because I just feel like I'm shilling at this point, but I should note that I'm not required to say anything good about it, and I also wouldn't say anything bad about it, except for the fact that it doesn't get very bright. It's just a portable monitor. If it's your kind of thing, it's your kind of thing. Otherwise, it'll be linked in the description as an Amazon affiliate link. In either case, I hope you learned something and watched this video. If my video or my channel to help you out, consider becoming a patron, or buying something through the Amazon affiliate links, or just send me a repair request. That works too. And like I said, I hope you learned something, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.